Hello and welcome to my channel Lifestyle and Fashion Tea. I wanted to talk a little bit about Sarah Rector because Sarah Rector had to go through the same thing that Wendy Williams is going through. Wow, how long did these guardianships, how long have they been in place? Well, let's find out. I also put this up here for Madam C.J. Walker because people will come in the comments and be like, no, it wasn't. It was Madam C.J. Walker. Look, I'm going to do my best to always do my research and put up here what I think is correct. Reason being, when I did the video about the first black supermodel, someone was in my comments about, that was Beverly Johnson. No, it was not. And the difference also between Sarah and Madam C.J. Walker is that Sarah's fortune was not self-made. Madam C.J. Walker was self-made, and we will get into the story. Sarah Rector was born March 3rd, 1902. She was born of a native of Oklahoma and a woman known as the first black female millionaire to live in Kansas City, or some historians have said the first black woman millionaires in the United States. And to make matters more interesting, Sarah was only 11 years old. Sarah had 5 siblings. Her grandparents were Rose McQueen and husband Joseph Rector, who were the black grandchildren of Creek Indians before the Civil War and the descendants of Muscogee Creek Nation after the Treaty of 1866. As such, they and their descendants were listed as freedmen on the Dawes Roll, by which they were entitled to land allotments under the Treaty of 1866 made by United States with 5 civilized tribes. Sarah's father, Joseph, was the son of John Rector, a Creek freedman. John Rector's father, Benjamin McQueen, was enslaved by Riley Grayson, who was a Creek Indian. John Rector's mother, Molly McQueen, was enslaved by the Muscogee Apatalahoa, who fought in the Seminole Wars and split with the tribe, moving his followers to Kansas. Sarah Rector was allotted 159.14 acres. This was a mandatory step in the process of interrogation of the Indian Territory with Oklahoma Territory to form what is known as Oklahoma. The parcel allotted to Sarah Rector was located in Glenpool, 60 miles from where she and her family lived. Its soil was considered unsuitable for farming, with better land reserved for white settlers and members of the tribe. By Sarah and her family being very, very poor, they could not keep up on the annual property tax on Sarah's parcel, which was such a burden that her father petitioned the Muscogee County Court to sell the land. His petition was denied, and he was required to continue paying the taxes. To help cover this expense, in February 1911, Joseph Baker leased Sarah's parcel to the Standard Oil Company. And in 1913, the independent oil driller B.B. Jones built a gusher well of oil. Daily yield of 2,500 barrels of oil and US $300, equivalent to $9,966.45 in 2025 per day. However, the law at that time required full-blooded Indians, black adults, and children who were citizens of Indian Territory with significant property and money to be assigned well-respected white guardians. Sarah began to receive pressure to change her guardianship from her parents to a local white resident family named TJ or JT Porter. Her allotment became part of the Cushing Drumright oil field. In October 1913, she received royalties of $11,567, which would be equivalent to $366,509 today in 2025. Damn! As the news spread of Rector's wealth, she received requests for loans, money, gifts, and even marriage proposals, even at her young age. Yes, they wanted to marry. There was even an effort to have her declared an honorary white, allowing her the benefits of elevated social standing, such as riding in a fast car on trains. In 1914, an African American journal, the Chicago Defender, began to take interest in Rector. Rumors began that she was a white immigrant who was being kept in poverty. It was published that white guardians had been mismanagement of her estate. This caused national African American leaders like Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois to be concerned. James C. Waters, Jr. of the NAACP sent out a memo concerning Rector's estate. He wrote of her white financial guardian, "Is it not possible to have her cared for in a decent manner and by people of her own race instead of by a member of a race which would deny her and her kind the treatment accorded to a good yard dog?" This prompted Du Bois to establish the Children's Department of the NAACP, which investigated claims of white guardians who were suspected of depriving black children of their land and wealth. Washington also intervened to help the Rector family. In October of that year, she was enrolled in the Children's Boarding School, a school at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. By the time Rector was 18, she was a millionaire. In 1920, she owned stocks, bonds, a boarding house, businesses, and a 2,000-acre piece of prime river bottom land. She left Tuskegee and with her entire family moved to Kansas City, Missouri. She purchased a house on 12th Street. Soon after moving to Kansas City, when she was 17 or 18, she married a local businessman, Kenneth Campbell, in 1920. The couple had 3 sons, Kenneth, Leonard, and Clarence. They divorced in 1930. In 1934, she married a restaurant owner, William Crawford. Rector enjoyed her wealth with a comfortable life and a taste for fine clothing and cars. She hosted lavish parties, and she entertained celebrities such as Count Basie and Duke Ellington. Sarah lost most of her wealth during the Great Depression and had to sell the house. She had to move to a 5-cottage small house, her and her family. There were a lot of things that happened during this time, and she kind of stayed low-key because there were threats against her life. And there were many others under guardianship, and they were treated badly, like terrible. And if I had more time, I would go into it. Her home was purchased by United Inner City Services in the 2010s. It's a nonprofit organization with the intention of restoration and historical and cultural preservation. In 1967, Sarah passed away from a stroke at the age of 65. Sarah Rector's story has been highlighted for several reasons. One of them, it's a symbol of black wealth that resulted in the 1921 Tulsa massacre and the destruction of Black Wall Street. Just another example of racially driven abuse of power by the U.S. federal government. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Now, if you all want me to talk more about these guardianships on black people back then, because I feel as though this is the same thing that Wendy Williams is going through and others, let me know, because there was so much that they did to her that I didn't get to speak about. But on the way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And any donations that you could send to this Cash App would be totally, totally appreciated. Thank you again, and you all have a wonderful evening.